Hello everybody and welcome back to another video all about Fury of Dracula. And this is actually going to be a post-game analysis from one of the matches from the New Blood Championship, which is the latest tournament from the Digital Edition community, and it's still ongoing. It's only just started. We're about a week into it now. And yeah, this is a match between Wyrmtalon and Topher. So I wasn't able to watch this game live. I do actually know the result of this match. But because of my as tournament organizer, I have to organize all the processing of the results and all this sort of thing. So I do know what the result is, but I didn't see this game live. I have no idea what happened in it. And Wyrmtalon actually live streamed this match on Twitch and put the video up on YouTube. I'll leave a link to the original video down in the description below if you want to watch that. But Wyrmtalon was very kind enough to provide a version of the game without commentary, so I'm not going to have to be fighting over his voice while he was playing the game. I can just pause as I wish, talk about the analysis, analyze the game a little bit, and see how it all panned out. I do have a couple more videos like this lined up, but I had to pick this one today just because I've got a very busy week, and I've literally only got about an hour and an hour window, more or less, to do an analysis, whereas the other two games, one of them is from Wyrmtalon, and also there's one between 5hit and somebody else who I can't remember. That's awful. Sorry. It was 5hit who gave me the footage, though. I will analyze them. A couple of Dracula games as well, which I think will be interesting. But they're longer, so I'm not going to have time to do it today. But I will do it. I promise. I will get around to these. I do like doing this post-game analysis stuff. So just to let you know, if you don't know much about it, the New Blood Championship is focusing on mostly newer players. The high-ranking, experienced players in the community are not allowed to compete. In this case, Wyrmtalon is not a complete newcomer to the community. He competed in the World Championship that's just passed. But that was the only tournament that they competed in. So, yep, still relatively new. And then typical, my Facebook starts doing things. Okay, let me get rid of that 1 second. So it's Sod's Law, isn't it? The second I try to record, and then suddenly people start pinging messages at me, but that's okay. Yeah, so Wyrmtalon played in the recent World Championship, and then Topher is a brand new player. Maybe he's played, I can't remember now because I've spoken to all the players and I can't remember who told me what. Possibly has played some of the Digital Edition, at least single player, or maybe within their own little group. Some stuff with the physical board game perhaps, but we'll see. So because of this tournament being focused on new players, any sort of analysis and commentary that we're going to be doing will hopefully, which is quite an endeavor to get sort of change our mentality, but the commentary will really be focused on sort of the broader gameplay and not get into these really intricate technical details that a lot of the sort of higher ranking matches are. If I see something that is very high level, I'll obviously point it out and praise the player who does it, obviously. But yeah, I want to do it that these type of videos are more accessible to new players. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it and see what happens. So we've got Wyrmtalon as hunters, so we're going to see the hunter perspective here, which, I always like. And yeah, I didn't actually see many games from Wyrmtalon in the World Championship. I think, if I remember rightly, they went 0-6, and then they actually won their last two games, which were against pretty high-ranking players. So definitely not a bad player is Wyrmtalon. We'll have to see. Oh, there's Warecraft already in. So yeah, this was live streamed. So yeah, I'll leave links below. If you could look in the description of this video, you'll find links to all of the content creators who are recording games from the League of Dracula. That's what the World Championship was called, the New Blood Championship. There we go. And also, I'll leave a link to the playlist so you can see all of the games from the tournament. You can check out what you like. There'll be some which will be post game. There'll be some which will be player perspective. Some will be live recordings from spectators' perspective. So there you go. Interesting setup here. This is kind of similar to my start, but the Mina and Godalming, instead of being in Vienna, are now actually in Munich. It's pretty similar. There are a couple of different things. Like obviously they're not on the rail line anymore, so going east is a little bit more difficult, but not that much more difficult. You can still get to, Galatz in 2 days with horses. Constanta, that's harder to get to. But it means southern Italy is a little bit less appealing now, because you can actually get to Bari in 2 days if you roll good horses. So, and also it blocks in, it makes Amsterdam a little bit less inviting as well, because you are a little bit closer. So, I'm not against this setup necessarily. I think it's kind of interesting. I don't know where Wyrmtalon got this from. If that was just something that he thought of himself, or something that his, I know he's very friendly with Met King and Aussie, who are, Aussie's a current competitor in the tournament. Met King was in the World Championship that's just passed, so I don't know if that's something that they've talked about. Interesting. I'm seeing Wyrmtalon's mouse looking over the east, so clearly, that seems to me that he's identified the weakness of this strategy. Also, I can't hear his voice, but that's what I'm guessing he's talking about here. So that's really good. So I think that's a really important thing as hunters. When you pick your starting locations, you need to understand where are the weaknesses. And every hunter starting position will have weaknesses in some description. So if you identify, right, the east is a weakness because it's very far away from these two, then if you get hired scouts, you need to prioritize maybe those areas. And that's a very interesting thing to do. There are other things you can do. You can spread out the hunters. You have all 4 hunters on different locations. Mina and Godalming don't have to be together, but then the disadvantage is then if Godalming gets good items, he has nobody to trade it to, and then Mina can't use her Psychic Scan ability or Hypnosis, all this sort of thing, right? Oh, got a newspaper report already. Well, that's very nice. Shame it couldn't trigger it immediately, but this is really good for the hunters. They have newspaper reports, that's locked in, they know they're going to be able to get that location, or they'll be able to trigger it as soon as there's a card on the 5th space of the trail. And just having that gives you a lot of assurance, like, oh, okay, I'm going to find Dracula this week. That's good. So just supplying up. This is normal behavior, by the way. If you're a newer player and you're like, what are they doing? Why aren't they moving around? That's not the meta way of playing in our community. The meta way it's not a restriction either. It's actually stronger for the hunters. If you just sit still and just supply during the day, and you get tickets at night. Why? Supplies are really important because you need to get events which help you find Dracula, like in newspaper reports. You need to get events that will give you movement, like Sense of Urgency or Chartered Carriage. I need to get those really powerful events like Renewed Vigor, Forewarned, Consecrated Ground, all that sort of stuff. You also need really good items, because obviously dealing with pretty much every encounter on Dracula's Trail requires items of some description to mitigate damage or to get rid of desecrated soil with a heavenly host or stakes and all that sort of stuff. So items and events are so critical to the game. The number of times I see unequipped hunters running around and it just hurts my soul. It's, you need to supply up. You could supply at night, but then the problem is you might give Dracula cards, and the Dracula cards are extremely powerful. You don't want to give them these cards, because they can really break the game if you're not careful. So yeah, just get into that mentality of, during the day, stand still, supply, until you find Dracula's location, in one way or the other, with newspaper reports or hired scouts, or if there is a vampire in the first position and it matures, it will reveal the location for you, so you know kind of where Dracula is. Trade the items and events around. Obviously only hunters that are in the same city can trade. Van Helsing can trade the events, get them all organized. Here, for example, Godalming's got 2 heavily hosts, so he'll have to give 1 to Mina, and now we got a hired scout. So I bet Wyrmtalon's going to go straight into the east, and he is. Oh, he does 1 eastern spot. Interesting. I would have gone Constanta Galatz here. But Amsterdam's not so big of a threat based upon this setup. Okay, not Galatz, not Amsterdam, that's okay. If you're taking 2 extremity locations, that's absolutely fine. Okay, still supplying up. Okay, so that's a card, that's Lucy's Revenge. Godalming needs that. So Van Hel automatically, and a Renewed Vigor, wow, that's a very good, those 2 very good supplies. Oh, wow, and another one. Holy moly. Right, okay, so this is really good already, right? If I was Wyrmtalon, I'd be really happy about this. The deck seems to be working a little bit in his favor early on. Got the newspaper, got Renewed Vigor. Renewed Vigor is one of the most important cards in the game for the hunters. No, I'd probably keep Knife here on Mina. Mina is a little bit vulnerable to knife attack, to fang attacks, so I'd probably keep the knife on her. I'm really sorry, the quality's not very good. I do have it on 720p. Maybe it's the way it gets taken from Twitch to YouTube. It does something with the quality. Here it looks okay. We're looking at the smaller tickets. It doesn't look so good, but it doesn't matter. It'll do. It'll be good enough. And the other thing then you do at night, because you're not supplying, you either do trades, or you try and get tickets. Now the reason why this might seem a bit strange if you're a newer player, well, what is he doing? He's keeping all the crap tickets, and he's not taking the good ones. And the reason why is because in our meta we really focus on a card, which is an item card called Fast Horses. And for order for Fast Horses to work well, you need to have the good tickets in the ticket pool, and you want the bad ones in your hand. So it's kind of like this counterintuitive way, but once you get it all set up, it's very, very strong. Incredibly strong. You can move basically guaranteed 2 spaces every turn with 3 of the 4 hunters. It's ridiculous. There's a couple of things, small things like Van Helsing's now full up with 3 events, so if Van Helsing draws a hunter card, he might have to discard one, which is not good. But, again, these are just small things. Getting Lucy's Revenge and Lucky Find. We got a horse, that's very good. Getting Lucky Find onto Van Helsing makes sense, because he can trade whoever's going to go into combat with Dracula. Having Lucy's Revenge on Van Helsing makes perfect sense. I would have probably traded Renewed Vigor onto Seward, personally, since he's got a lot of space for events, but that's okay. That's right. Oh, add a Mystic Research. Okay, this is fine. There's a 100 event on top. Yep, Mystic Research, perfect, so I'm going to have to trade back again, but that's fine. Mystic Research is excellent. Just more supplies. You can supply at night, safely. Interesting things from Dracula here. Dracula has not misdirected his first space. Sorry, every time I move the mouse, I'm going to show you the titles and stuff. Dracula hasn't misdirected the first space. Typically, that's done just because there's no encounter on that location, so it's a bit worthless to you. And also, then it means newspaper doesn't trigger as early. No rumor token either. We've had 2 encounters, and then no rumor token. And then a Dark Call. So again, interesting stuff. I think it may be a thing. Again, it's not criticism. I think new players maybe value Dark Call a little bit more than experienced players do. I just don't like Dark Call because you are hurting. As Dracula, you're hurting yourself just to gain, is it 5 or 6 more encounters? And it's like, is that worth it? Well, if you want to do certain combinations of encounters, absolutely. Or if you've got a terrible hand of encounters, then yeah. But I think, in general, I don't really like the Dark Call. But that's just me. I'm more than sure there'll be some uses for it. We might see, players coming into the community and they use Dark Call and they do really nasty encounter combos early that really slow down the hunters. That's absolutely fine. I think that there's merits to everything in this game. That's the cool thing about it. So in general, yeah, this is really good. If Dracula doesn't misdirect, then they're going to reveal the location right now. And because it doesn't have an encounter, they don't have to go and deal with it. It'll be the turn after. So maybe Wyrmtalon might actually not activate newspaper reports here. But he is. That's understandable. There's maybe reasons why you might not want to. Well, none is okay. So none is 39, where the mouse is. So there are only 4 places adjacent to none. And he's got plenty of time. He can move there. He can try and search all of them. I don't know if his horse economy is ready. Ooh, a 3rd Heavenly Host. Good to have the Heavenly Host, but it's really awkward that they're all on the eastern side of the board. You kind of want Seward or Van Helsing to have one of them. What's he going to discard? It'll be interesting to see. I see, if you'd given the knife to Mina, this wouldn't have happened. But that's okay, it's okay. It's so easy to get caught up and stuff. Okay, he's discarding the knife. I totally respect that. If you get a consecrated ground, you want to have all 3 Heavenly Hosts ready, that's okay. I prefer to have a conventional weapon. If I'd already drawn Consecrated Ground, then I might keep the 3rd Heavenly Host, but I think in that situation I would have got rid of Heavenly Host. But again, that's very personal, so that's not a criticism from me. Okay, now Van Helsing's got a bit of a problem. Yeah, I think Lucky Find is the one to get rid of there. But again, if you just manage those trades a little bit better, Seward could have had an extra event, so that wouldn't have happened. But that's okay. That's okay. It's not the end of the world. This is really nice, though. Okay, that makes sense because he's got kind of an idea where Dracula is, so having that ally is nice. They don't have a surprise in return, so there's no need to use that. Yeah, this is looking okay. If they can just get the white ones out, I'll count them. I think they got at least one. Okay. If Sword gets this white one, he's screwed for movement. No. Swing and a miss. Oh, there's only one white one out, I think. I think Mina's got one. Hey, two! Okay. Mina might draw it, actually. No. Okay, so the horses... So basically the reason why I'm counting the white one ticket, which just has a white one and nothing else, if you use filed horses and that ticket is drawn from the ticket pile, then the horse dies. You still get to move one space, but then the horse gets discarded. And that's not what we want. If we've put all this effort into, getting the horses, organizing all the items, organizing all the tickets, you want those horses to actually work. You don't want them to suddenly die on you. And Dracula will see if one of the horses dies, and then Dracula can use that information and realize you don't have as much movement now, right? I'm going to do some nasty things. They're going to have to start moving. If they want to deal with this encounter, they're going to have to start dealing with it. We don't know where it is. I mean, if Van Helsing can come over... Oh, I probably wouldn't be supplying there. Yeah, now you got to get rid of a Henry Host because you don't want to get rid of the horse. Yeah, that's a shame. That's a real shame, but that can happen sometimes. Godalming just supplies double, and it always just lands the wrong way. Oh, still supplying. Interesting. Wow, all the guns on Seward. Go on, go for 4 guns. You know you want to. Ah, okay. I think for variety, having a crucifix thrown in there, I think is kind of nice. Oh, a knife. Oh, wow. Okay, so very well equipped. That housing. Yep, get rid of the dogs. That's cool. So I guess Huns are going to move tomorrow. Ah, double stake. Okay. Ah, and that's worthless, so that can get dumped. Oh, you got both blood transfusions. Yikes. That's a rough one. Yeah, so there's a couple of awkward things here in terms of how the items came up with Godalming. Maybe Godalming could have moved, so he didn't get that horse, but then I guess the question is who would have got it, I suppose. So, yeah. Okay, still trying to get that white one. That makes a lot of sense. If Wyrmtalon can get it today... Okay, so that means Amina's going to have to trade for that horse now, then. If Seward doesn't... Okay. They've got the white one, so the horses can be used. The problem is Seward's movement is very limited. Very limited for a bit. I'd give escape route to Godalming, to Van Helsing. That's okay. Godalming doesn't really need escape route. He is the toughest hunter in terms of health, so he doesn't necessarily need to escape from fights. Yeah, this is looking quite good. If they don't get to this first card and it's a hoax, then that's potentially a little bit nasty. They've got plenty of time to do this rumor token, though. As of yet, I'm not quite sure where Dracula is. I would assume that maybe the second encounter is Marseille. He could also be trying to go into Spain and hoping that Seward leaves and then he's running around in Spain unopposed. That is also a possibility. The Dark Hall thrown in there means it's not as far away from Nantes as he could have been. That's the problem now. Wyrmtalon doesn't know exactly where this location is. He's going to have to go guessing for it. And they can't get to Clermont-Ferrand or Paris. So actually, it's definite this is going to mature. It does play with New Vigor. That makes sense. Holding that event is going to be useful. Ah, Mystic Research didn't get traded. Okay, that's going to have to be traded. If Van Helsing goes to C, he won't be able to trade for a bit, so you're just going to have to think about that. That's okay. Oh, unlucky. I know you got 2 yellow 2s in your hand, but still, you know, you got that was a quarter chance of getting that. That's a little bit unlucky. Yeah, you got no movement, unfortunately. Yeah, I think you just supply. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, to be honest. Yeah, try and get that last horse on Seward, and then you don't need 2 of them. Good. Loads of Dracula events. If this is a hoax, Dracula's going to be very happy about all this. Since it's definitely going to mature. Oh well, okay. I was going to say if you roll a 2, you might even just move to Godalming and do a psychic scan. But that ticket confirmed it. But still, it's not the end of the world, right? Because the Hunters still have some powerful events. They've got great strength and renewed vigor. They'll be able to get their horses set up. This has just been a little bit unlucky. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, yellow 2. Yeah, that's fine. Yep. Ah, yeah, always the way. Soon might just be sitting and supplying until he gets the horse, if he's the only one left. If you get Mystic Research, then this is good. Wyrmtalon's just very calmly checking, you know, what items, what tickets, what events. I think that's definitely the right way to go about it. It's very difficult. Mystic Research? Nope. There you go. There, that's right. Good. I'd give renewed vigor to Seward personally, but because that means Van Helsing could supply tomorrow and then play Mystic Research at night if he wanted to. Good. Oh, he is in Italy. Wow. Okay, so it definitely does look like Marseille then, if that's the case. Going down the boot now. Well, it's good that Mina and Gadami have horses, because they'll be able to sort of respond if Dracula goes east, but they're the ones who are going to be dealing with these encounters, because Seward hasn't got movement. Oh, apologies. It's only Tuesday lunchtime, and it's already been a long week. I'm not yawning because of the game, I promise. So yeah, this is definitely maturing. If there's a hoax, that could be kind of bad, but they have Mystic Research to counter it a little bit. Oh, bodyguards. Okay, that could have been worse, but that's still good for Dracula. Bodyguards are pretty nice, especially since who is it? Mina's running around with no weapon. Yeah. Okay, so I think my guess would be the Dark Call was in Marseille. That was Clermont-Ferrand, Marseille. It might not have been. It could have been Bordeaux and then Toulouse and then Marseille and then Genoa. And the Psychic Scan was in Genoa. I don't know. We'll have to see. My guess would be that Dracula just went straight into Italy. The shortest route possible. Yep, I think checking Genoa is not a bad move because Mina can go and deal with Marseille potentially. Ooh, Genoa is further down the trail, or further up the trail, I guess it would be. Interesting. And Topher doing the right thing and not ambushing, very good. Yeah, keep supplying. Okay, that's unfortunate, but you just gotta keep going. So where maybe did wait, so oh, okay, feeling urgent and going for okay. Okay, that's really important. If Dracula's watching this, then that's another event that is off the list. I guess did he go Bordeaux? It's 4 spaces from Nantes. Ooh. You really don't want to jump onto Dracula here. This could be really bad. Oh. Oh, wow. Wow, okay, I'm going to say this. I think the hunters were saved because of that fog. Mina has no weapon, so bodyguards would have hit her for 4, and then she would have been down to 5 health. I know they have great strength, but combat, 1v1 combat is a really finicky thing. She could have easily died there, despite having great strength. So I'd actually say that fog saved the hunters, as weird as it sounds. But I do not in any way criticize Dracula for ambushing. Right? Dracula has no idea what Mina has. She has horse, but we don't know anything else. Unless, is she revealing a stake? The only thing I'd say as a Dracula, you have to watch what the hunters have. I can't remember if she's revealing a stake or a horse. I think she's still revealing the stake, because that's the thing that she supplied first. So, as a Dracula player, if I saw Mina walk in on her own, with no, just a horse, a stake, and only one other item, I'd be probably tempted to go for the fight, because bodyguards would trigger, it would tell you what her item is, if it's a weapon or not, and then you can play around it. Now, of course, there's a risk, because there could be a heroic leap or whatever. However, look where Van Helsing is. Van Helsing is at sea. He wouldn't be able to trade if he wanted. No, he's not at sea. He's on the Havre. Okay, so maybe that's a good use of excellent weapon then. There is a risk. There is always a risk with that if you don't ambush with a fog and you go into combat, that you will get hit with a heroic leap. But remember, you can go into combat even though there's fog. You can choose not to. So I think actually, all in all, that worked actually quite well for the hunters, strangely enough. And that's kind of the thing with this. Like, and again, this is not a criticism. I'm saying it just as an interesting sort of, fact where, because these players are slightly newer and they're less experienced, they won't necessarily play optimally. But that's going to be very interesting to see how, oh, is that going to hit anybody? Hit Van Helsing, right? Okay, that could have been a lot worse. A lot worse. Really? Just getting 2 items? I probably wouldn't do that, just because Van Helsing's really far away from where Dracula is, so he doesn't need the health right now. He'll have time to get his health back up. That could have been a lot worse, especially if there's a hoax after Mystic Research had just been played. Yeah, because that'd reset the entire pile, so that Mystic Research information would have been lost. Yes, that's the thing. With these players, they might not play optimally in the sense of how, as a higher level player, I would think about it. But that doesn't matter, because it's fine. They're playing what they believe to be the right move at that time. Again, it's also very easy. I'm sitting here, relaxing in my chair with a cup of tea. I'm not playing the match. So there's naturally way more stress level. And you don't want a situation, because I've seen it, and I've been on the receiving end of it. Whereas a Dracula, like, it's one hunter, I can fight them, and then they wallop you for like 4 or 5 health, and then you're at a disadvantage for the rest of the game. Especially after taking the Dark Hole damage as well, right? So, I think, Dracula going to sea here is okay. You could feed, but also you could just go to sea and start laying down things in the east. That's now really awkward, because you've got another horse on Gaddafi. Well, c'est la vie. You got to try and get to Seward to get that traded around ASAP. Oh, okay, that's not. Well, yeah, we knew it was Marseille then. Okay. So where's the thing before Marseille? It must be Clermont-Ferrand then. I promise Seward's going to be walking there very slowly. Are they going to be able to stop the rumour token? I don't think they will, unless it's an aristocratic. I don't think they'll be able to stop. Well, nah. Van Helsing with a knife will be able to do it. They have Mystic Research, so they can night supply. So they could, Van Helsing might magically find a stake here. That makes sense. Yep, that makes sense. It's a bit of a shame they used up the ally, but that's not, again, that's not Wyrmtalon's fault. How are you supposed to know you're going to draw surprise in return after equipping an ally, right? So that's the thing, when you got these two, newer players, they'll make sort of suboptimal moves, but those errors will probably cancel out each other a little bit, right? If they're both making errors, it'll cancel out, and it'll make a really exciting game because you won't know how things are going to go. Normally when you play against high level players, it's kind of like, oh yeah, that's the predictable thing, yeah, that's the predictable thing to do, yeah, that's optimal, but it's going to be, you know, more unpredictable to watch. It's going to be very exciting as a result. The experience or ranking of the players does not diminish from the quality of the match in terms of, you know, watching it and enjoying it. And it's also just like these players have done really well. Just to, you know, they seem really keen and they want to sign up for the tournament. So, you know, you never get any criticism from me. We're all there once. That is really good. I think just throwing down this pressure. Right, they got 2 rumor tokens to deal with. Yeah. I mean, Mina has a stake, so maybe if Dracula had been watching her items, but that's maybe where you could kill Mina and then go to Valona and throw down a rumor token vampire. Then suddenly the Huns are like, oh, how are we going to deal with this now? But it's okay too, because, you know, she's using up the stake then. It could be an aristocratic, so using a stake on an aristocratic vampire would be really good. Okay, they need to find this rumor token today. I assume... Nope. Okay, Van Helsing is going to supply. So yeah, that's going to mature, unless there's a misclick. I really hope there's no misclick. Right, Mina is free of the fog. Completely unscathed from her walking into Dracula. Because again, like, I wouldn't walk into Dracula's space there because I know of the danger of, you know, I know I've got great strength in my back pocket, but I don't want to lose great strength early. I don't want Mina to be really weak. She doesn't have really optimal items, and there's a bodyguards in play. But in some ways, it worked out quite well because it forced Dracula to go to sea when maybe Dracula didn't want to. Maybe Dracula wanted to go to Munich. And I found out exactly where he was going. Okay, hide scouts. So that's good because you can find out exactly where he is. We assume he's in Valona. He is, but you have to check it. So, you know, sometimes these events will work out in your favor. Okay, that makes sense. Try and improve the horse economy tickets. Okay, swing and a miss. The problem with it is because you have to put the ticket back into the pool before you draw the next one. Okay, an aristocratic vampire. Oh, it's Geneva. Wow, okay. Must have gone Bordeaux, Clermont-Ferrand, Geneva, Marseille. That must have been the deal. Oh, well, that's really good for Dracula. That's 7 points on the board. Halfway to victory, just over halfway. I always count it slightly under halfway, just in case Vampire Lair comes out. Could have been more if the Venice fight had gone, you know, in Dracula's favor, but, you know, or if Dracula had been a little bit more aggressive there. But I completely understand in a tournament situation, you don't want to necessarily play aggressive and then get, I'm trying to think of an expression without swearing, without getting shat on. There we go. I'll swear anyway. It's interesting it's an aristocratic, which then makes it even more likely that Valona is a fighting vampire. Dracula could be in Sarajevo. Again, this is kind of scary stuff for Mina. She wrote her luck once. Okay, Dracula did not go there. Obviously, the problem is Dracula is completely unaware of this movement situation where Gadami's having to go back to help Seward out. Sometimes you can try and deduce that, but that's, again, very, very technical stuff. So, again, no criticism that Dracula had a little bit more time than he actually did, but that's okay. Okay, trading around, that makes a lot of sense. They both got a conventional weapon. They both have horses, so yeah, this is fine. I'd probably prefer something else on Seward rather than the crucifix. So now in hindsight, one of those pistols would have been better to keep. But, again, it's okay. Hunters still have a lot of good things. If they can get into the east pretty quickly, they can unleash a renewed vigor, sense of emergency combo with all these horses. Yeah, Dracula's got to be a bit careful, especially since one fog's been used already. Still Knight's Plan. Okay. A thought popped into my head about how you could use these Night Supplies, but honestly, the Hunters are using them. That's fine. Salonica. Okay. That's a little bit restrictive for Dracula, because Dracula now has to move into Sophia, rather than being able to be in Sophia now. They can move to Salonica if need be, right? It depends on where Dracula's going to go next. Does Dracula want to stay on land for a bit, or wants to go to sea? I would probably move to Sophia next, you know, after Valona. And then I'd have had some options. Do I want to go inland a little bit? Do I want to go to Bucharest? Do I go to the Black Sea coast? Or if I'm under a lot of pressure, I go to Ionian coast. As Dracula, you need to count. If you're assuming that the Hunters have horses, if they're working properly, 1 day to get to Munich, 1 day to get to Sarajevo, and then another day to get to adjacent to Sofia. So you basically got 2-3 days to play here. So you have to time things and see, you know, you don't want to get stranded. You don't want to go inland to somewhere like Belgrade, then you're stranded really far away from the coast. The advantage is Dracula does have war form. So if he needs to make a quick escape to somewhere like, I don't know, Varna or Salonica, can easily do so. Feeding also makes sense before they go to sea. Obviously Rufus Smith is in place, that's going to hurt a little bit more. Again, you know, I don't know if the Dark Call was necessary. That's Dracula 2 health less than normal, but Dracula wasn't to know that they're going to get Rufus Smith a couple of turns after Dark Calling. So again, that's not Dracula's fault. Right, she's going to go and deal with that vampire. That makes a lot of sense. Well, I assume it's a vampire. My advice to new players would be just, yeah, put rumors onto vampires. You can use rumors as bluffs. Ooh, so that screams aristocratic there. Now, if Mina's feeling brave, she might stake this. Or no, she might not. She might choose not to stake it, so that she has one. She keeps the stakes. If that is an aristocratic. But then again, she becomes delayed, so, you know, maybe not. Ooh. Swing and a miss. Okay, that's a very good night supply, and it's on Seward, so... And Seward actually, with... Now, again, it's funny how this game changes, because he's got Crucifix and the gun, he can pretty much cancel everything that Dracula can throw out, apart from a strength. Okay, staking it so you don't have to worry about it. You're going to get delayed. Maybe Dracula... The Hunters might be thinking of playing Renewed Vigor here. If Dracula moves to Sophia, which is the only place he can move to with 1 space, you could actually get 3 Hunters onto him with Renewed Vigor. And you can also play Speedy Telegraph to get one of them to go there with Sense of Emergency, so then you're guaranteeing a 3v1, or at least guaranteeing a 2v1. So yeah, there's definitely potential here. Dracula's in a bit of trouble. If Dracula decides to not go to sea, or decides to maybe, oh, let's risk it and we'll go to Sophia. Is that a wolf form? No, Dracula's going to sea. Interesting. Okay, so Dracula very much respecting the threat that the Hunters pose. However, and again, no criticism, it's just I'm thinking about, you know, things. Dracula's going to sea. There's only 1 encounter on the trail. Mina can go and deal with that incredibly easily. And what are Seward and Godalming and Van Helsing going to do? They're going to just keep supplying, which means they're going to shuffle through the item deck, get better items if they need it, and they're going to get even better events. And this is where events maybe like Hypnosis or Money Trail or Concentrated Ground now start to become relevant. I think you need to keep one of them in Munich, just in case Dracula's sneaky and goes to Black Sea. But having one on the Tyrrhenian coast, I think, also makes a lot of sense, because Dracula's probably going to head west. Okay, okay, that's alright. Okay, maybe Seward's going to deal with Salonika then. And Mina backtracks, which is also okay. I'd stay put with Van Helsing. I think he's in a good position. Paris is very well connected by rail, so you could just swap out the ticket and get a 3-2, and then boom, you're in Spain in one move. So I wouldn't be moving Van Helsing here. Just keep it in Paris. Supply, you got a 100 event on top. If you had a Dracula event on top, then maybe you wouldn't. But I think just try and get the event. Oh wow, Mina's well equipped to deal with this. Wow, that's very fortunate. Okay. Dracula keeps 2 cards, so clearly he's got a very good hand of encounters there. No healing though, that's going to be really important, especially with Rufus Smith. So yeah, Dracula's not going to be feeding for a long time. So it might be really low health when he lands, and that's when the hunters are really dangerous. They can just pounce and kill him quite quickly. I think Dracula will probably move 2 sea spaces here, just for the obfuscation about where exactly he is. That'd be my guess anyway. Gadami's position here in Genoa is also pretty good, because if Dracula tries to be sneaky and goes from Venice, Gadami could pounce on him. So yeah, there's a couple. I think that there's a supply with Van Helsing that was missed there, but again, you know, these are just, you know, small things. The hunters are pretty well equipped in general, apart from Mina being down an item, but that's okay. She had a stake, so that's okay. But I still think, you know, this is something that Captain Gyro made a very good point about in one of the live streams, was only move if you have like a real intention about what your move is for. What is Van Helsing's objective here? If it's to go to Marseille, wow, I mean, okay, but then he's further away from Spain, which is a potential landing point. I'd actually keep him in Paris. You can maybe the night before he lands, you get a 3-2 ticket, and then you get into... It makes your horse economy a little bit worse, but it means then Van Helsing is a lot more relevant. Going to Marseille, I don't think really makes that much of a difference. I just think you keep supplying here. Even though you got good items are fine, because if you get a couple of... You get an item that is good, like a knife or something, if you've already got some, you know, decent things, you can discard it. The events are the things that you want. So, and look, these are 2 items you can easily discard. Imagine now if Wyrmtalon gets like a really big event, like Consecrated Ground or something. Oh! See, now you're not going to believe I did watch this in advance. I promise you. I promise you, I have not seen this in advance. This is the thing with this game, right? And this is, as a hunter player, you need to get this into your head. The more you supply, you will get these big events. And it doesn't matter what that was, by the way. If there's a Consecrated Ground is the dream situation here. But it doesn't matter if it's a Consecrated Ground or a Money Trail or Hypnosis or what else could be really good in this situation. Another excellent weather, or Charter Carriage would be good, or... I don't even know what else, because there's so many. It could be the second renewed vigor, right? If you keep supplying, you will get the things that you want, or even a local rumors or an evil presence would be great here, because Godalming's on the Tyrrhenian Sea, so it would tell you if he's here or if he's in another sea, which then means, you know, if you find out he's in the Tyrrhenian, then Mina doesn't have to move to Sophia with Seward. They can go together further up. Okay, we're doing some trading. You don't want to leave Mina too weak, but that's okay if she has a knife. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I can't remember if there's a lucky... No, the lucky find got discarded. So this is where lucky find would be great. You could trade it to Mina, so then when she goes into combat, she'll have 2 combat items, not 1. But again, that's more technical stuff. You can see also how like small decisions early on in the game have an effect later. You don't have that event card, you had to discard it. That means then a hunter's weaker in combat. That means you don't kill Dracula and he escapes. You see what I mean? It has like this little like snowball effect. But that takes a long time to see those sort of things. So don't panic if you're new, right? But I still like this situation, right? You got Godalming and Van Helsing kind of in position if Dracula's going west. I think Van Helsing should have a better ticket, but never mind. And then you got Seward and Mina ready to Psychic Scan just to make sure it's not the Black Sea. Or something else. I think that's fine. I'm okay with it. It's probably Cagliari, 13, but then again, it's still also quite risky. Dracula hasn't wolf formed from the sea, so we know he's landed. So it has to be on the Tyrrhenian coast, but not Genoa, because Godalming's sitting right there. So it's one of these three, 45, 40, or 13. It could be Adriatic, so it could be 5. Cannot be Valona, because Valona's on the trail. It could be Venice, or it could be the Black Sea. Oh, wait, what? I thought you wanted to Psychic Scan. I thought that's kind of the point of this. Ooh, okay. I have a feeling the Huns are... I think it would be better if Sue just applied, and then Mina, like, Psychic Scan. Or maybe even play Speedy Telegraph here, to Psychic Scan with Mina first. And then you can move Seward away, if it's not Baltica. That's just me. Because now she can't Psychic Scan, so what's she going to do? She's going to move to Seward, so she's further away from where Dracula is, if it's not the Black Sea. I think Sophia was the right idea. Okay, I guess she's going to go... Yeah, she has to go and check Constanta now, but what was if Dracula's there on... Oh dear. Yeah. Mina could well be in trouble here. She has a knife, so fanging her is going to be more difficult. Ooh. Okay. Oh, Dracula went for the ballsy play, especially after both seeing Seward move east. That would have probably been a signal they were going to try and Psychic Scan. But they didn't Psychic Scan. This is actually quite good for Dracula because he's got a one-on-one with Mina. Okay, well, plays Strength is a safe thing to play, but yeah, it just gets cancelled by the escape. Mesmerize is normally more common, or something like a Fang or a Claws to actually do 2 damage to her. So maybe she might survive now, because killing a 9 health hunter is pretty difficult. This is good, though. Oh, man. Imagine if she lives by, like, 2 hit points. This is really difficult, but you kind of have to reveal this. But now Dracula knows... Assuming Dracula understands how the combat information screen works, you know everything she's got. She's only got 2 items, because we can count the number of cards she has. If you go into this I button at the top, it shows you the number of combat cards she has. There's always 3, because that's punch, dodge, and escape. And then she'll have 1 more, in this case is the knife. If she had something else, like a garlic or a heavenly host or another knife, it would show 5 combat cards. If there's another one, 6. Fangs. Okay, that's pretty good for Dracula. Nets a health off that, and he gets Mina down even lower. Great Strength here is still pretty good, because if she gets bitten, she still leaves the combat, even though the bite effect actually doesn't trigger. So yeah, it's going to be a bit difficult for Dracula to kill her. Like, properly. I'll just imagine if the new vampire had done 2 damage. She'd be down to 3 now. And she would have been in claw range, and it would have triggered the Great Strength. Wow. Oh, again, super fine margins. This is very small stuff that we're talking about, and it makes a huge difference to the game. So Mina's almost dead, but she still has the Great Strength. That's the thing. Godalming and Van Helsing aren't getting there anytime soon, so it's pretty much all on Seward at this point. They have Consecrated Ground, so I'd probably say now is the time to play it, because you're going to have to force Dracula back to C. And then you avoid all of the combat nonsense, right? Oh, we didn't play Consecrated Ground. Ooh. What you could do here is you could play Consecrated Ground in Bucharest, one in Constanta, and one in Varna. Dracula cannot move, so he has to take a damage penalty, and then he gets forced back to C. That was a mistake. That's probably the first, like, really big mistake that Wyrmtalon's made. You have the Consecrated Ground. This is the time to use it. You actually got really lucky here in the sense that Mina did not die. So you need to take advantage of that fact. And even if she did die, you could still do it anyway. I don't even know... Oh, she's Night Supplying. Oh, you're... Well, I guess healing doesn't actually make a difference, because Dracula always does even amount of damage. I would have revealed Respiting Return, I think. That doesn't really matter. Yeah, because Dracula would have taken 5 damage, and then has to go back to C, so be down to 4 health. And then what does Dracula do? Move to Ionia and take another 2, and you're down to 2 health? And that's when things get difficult. And that will give, the other hunters time to get into position either on the Black Sea coast or the Ionian coast, because Dracula wouldn't be able to go any further than that. So yeah, that's probably the first thing that I really think that Wyrmtalon missed a huge opportunity to get Dracula. If Dracula now wins, I would say a lot of it is based on that. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Dracula still has to survive quite a long time before Fury of Dracula kicks in. And the hunters are going to be closing in, especially if they've got a renewed vigor and if they play Consecrated Ground maybe this turn. Yeah, this is getting dangerous. We'll have to see. Mina is a little bit irrelevant, but Seward's nearby, so they can heal double. Okay. Good horse roll. Very good. Yeah, Dracula's not been layering locations. That'd probably be something, if Topher, you're watching this, try to get your layers sorted, right? It can really improve your encounter economy, where if a city slides off the trail and it's completely empty, the encounter's been dealt with, just throw an encounter into there. Maybe it's very possible that the encounters that Dracula has are all really good. So he doesn't want to discard any, and that would make sense. But I think in general there should be some layering going on here. No layers have been placed for the entire game. So I'd definitely say layers need to be done. But again, I don't think that's going to be the thing that makes or breaks this game. But it's just, again, it's another small thing that sort of adds to things. So Seward's going to stake this vampire. So clearly they're not interested in going after Dracula today, which makes sense. Because it'll be a 1v1 with Seward. So Dracula's just going to, they're going to stake this vampire. I hope he plays Consecrated Ground now. Because then Dracula will be forced towards Godalming and Van Helsing, which is what they want. And it blocks off the possibility to get down through Sophia. Sophia has to be the one that you put the Consecrated Ground token in. The reason why is because it really limits, Dracula's ability to escape to the Ionian. I know the Ionian's on the trail. But Dracula could get there in time, and then wait it out, and then go to the Ionian. But if you can block Sophia, and Dracula's forced out, even if Dracula goes to the castle, the hunters still have quite a bit of time. They can surround him, you'll have to move into them, and then they kill him. Charter Carriage on Van Helsing is incredibly useful right now. He's on a rail line, and it's a very good rail line, actually. You can get all the way to Szeged, which is 53 from where he is. That's a very, very well-timed Charter Carriage. Very timely. Come on, you want a CG? You know you want to. You know you want to. But if you want to take your time to do it, that, again, I perfectly understand if you want to take your time. I don't know why he didn't play it last turn, but it might work out better for him if he plays it this turn. This is good. I think Wyrmtalon here is counting where the CG tokens have to go. It's the permanent CG token plus you reveal one Heavenly Host on every character. And that gives you an additional token. So you get up to 4 tokens, 1 CG plus the 3 Heavenly Host, assuming you have them distributed correctly. So you can't put them in Glatz, and you can't put them in Klausenburg, because it's because of the Castle Dracula, how that works. You can put a CG token in Bucharest, put it in Sofia, put a Heavenly Host in Bucharest, and then Belgrade, and then maybe Constantus, then Dracula doesn't do something silly and tries to move back in this way, but I think he'd be killing himself anyway if he does that. You probably put one. No, you probably put one in Varna here, so then Dracula can't wolf form into Varna. Again, that's not a really good move because Black Sea is here. Oh, I wouldn't have done that. Okay. Clearly, I think maybe Wyrmtalon. I don't know what Turnhand's thinking here, but it's possible that he's a bit concerned about the fact that Klausenburg and Galatz is a thing, that the castle could be a problem if Dracula heals a lot. I would still throw it down now, to be honest. I would have thrown. I mean, as I said, I would have thrown it down a turn ago. You need to restrict Dracula's movement. That's really critical here. If he now moves to Sofia, you've got a little bit of a problem, but at the same time, if he wolf forms onto a coastal city like Valona, you've missed your chance. Oh, wow. Okay, right. Dracula is giving you a massive reprieve here. Dracula doesn't... I mean, to be fair, if I was Dracula, I'd be like, why haven't they consecrated grounded me? They must not have it. Again, in this sort of tournament, you can't assume that because, you know, people will play consecrated ground maybe in ways which are not extremely optimal because it's very hard to know what is the optimal way to play consecrated ground. But Wyrmtalon's been looking at it, so he's clearly aware of it and the power of it. So, you know, just... Dracula could have really, 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 really punished him here by actually... by wolf forming. He could have wolf formed to Valona, and then the Hunters would be in big trouble. I mean, there's still Renewed Vigor. Renewed Vigor is very powerful. They could have landed on him anyway, but... I would go... Oh no, I would go to 49 here. Dracula... I mean, he could be in Klausenburg, to be fair. I think that's not the first place you check. I think you have to check Sofia first. Sofia is so dangerous. Ooh... I would actually, weirdly, I'd move to Varna here. No. I'd move to Varna. You know he's gone to Bucharest. Imagine this is Bats, and you lose your second. Oh, wow. Okay, that was very lucky for the Hunters there. I mean, that's still not good, because Seward's lost 2 health. Going to Varna would have avoided that. You knew he went to Bucharest. Well, maybe not. He could have gone to Varna, but I don't think that Dracula would go to Varna there. And then using your second Renewed Vigor action to heal, it's not the most ideal. Renewed Vigor is the card that you want to surprise Dracula and to pounce onto his location. I think he's sitting in Sofia. And you want to ascertain that. And you could potentially kill him between 3 of you. But using it to just walk onto a location and then heal, it doesn't feel very good. But that's okay. Again, as I said, it's very easy for me. I'm sitting here. I've got like 2 years more experience of digital than... Planned Ambush. That's very timely as well. That's very good. I probably would have kept that and just got rid of Surprising Return because you haven't got another ally in the discard pile. But that's okay. That's a small thing. There's potentially going to be a trade going around here. Might give the bullets to Seward. So actually, that's probably not a bad thing to have kept. The issue here is there's no forewarned. So if Dracula just moves into a port location and puts down fog, then that could be all she wrote, potentially. Dracula might be able to escape and just run out the clock at sea. But again, Dracula might not have the second fog. Dracula's only about halfway through the encounter deck, more or less. There's like 11 in the discard, 11 still to draw, and there's 5 in his hand. So might not have the second fog because of the layers not being used very much. Dracula hasn't been able to cycle through his deck as much as he would do normally. So he might not have a second fog. So this might still work out for the Hunters. As I said, you know, even if both sides aren't playing optimally, it doesn't matter because it kind of balances itself out. And this game is really in the balance here. I have no idea who's going to... I mean, now I'm doubting myself if I actually read the result correctly. I don't know who's going to win this game. I'd probably still say the Hunters have probably got a slight edge just because they've got the 2 big events in terms of Renewed Vigor and CG, or they've now played Renewed Vigor. But they've still got Consecrated Ground, which could just flip the entire game if Dracula doesn't expect it and gets caught in land, like in Belgrade or something. Oh, he went to the castle. Whoa. Okay. Wow, that's massive. That's massive for the Hunters. He's trapped. You don't have to go in yet. I mean, if you want to, you can. Oh, okay. Well, that could have been a lot worse. Well, let's see. Will the other 2 Hunters get... If both of those Hunters get in with their... oh, they didn't give the bullets to Seward. Interesting. I would have kept the Holy Circle then if you weren't playing... Or maybe Wyrmtalon was playing to trade and then forgot. That's okay, if that's the case. Yeah, you may as well just supply, right? There's no reason... Well, no, Chartered Carriage actually... Well, ooh... Again, this is where things get technical. If you can do the Chartered Carriage, you get all the way up to 53, which is a wolf form location from the castle, so it's blocking Dracula's exit a little bit, and also an escape as bat location. But then you make the horse economy worse, so then Mina might not get into this fight. It's all a little bit of a, all probability game. Okay, so it's going to be a 3-on-1. Okay, so this is actually pretty big here. Even though Dracula has a lot of health, you've got Lucy's Revenge and 2 planned ambushes. The Hunters have a lot of control of this combat. And this is what... I must admit, like, even though I was criticized a little bit for the Renewed Vigor play and not using CG, you're not playing planned ambush. I think I would still play it. And it makes Dracula really worry about what it is you're playing. I know both things you have are cancelled by strength, but I think I'd just still throw it down, to be honest. And make Dracula really sweat that he has no idea what you're going to be playing. And if he gets it right, he gets it right. So even though I said I wouldn't criticize, but like there's a little bit of misplay with the Consecrated Ground and Renewed Vigor. That being said, didn't get punished for it because Dracula's only moved 1 at a time. Hasn't tried to wolf form. Didn't go to the sea like I was expecting. Dracula tried to heal. The castle was too tempting to try and get the health. And this is the problem now. Dracula gets surrounded. The Hunters have decided to just jump straight in. I think they're going to get away with it because they've got a planned ambush and Lucy's Revenge, and they are fairly healthy and they're fairly well supplied. Okay. Okay, I still think here planned ambush would have been a good move here because then you could decide, do I want to really take this 4 damage? And then I would dodge it, potentially. But again, then maybe if she'd played planned ambush, Dracula might not have clawed her. Again, very easy to say in hindsight. I still think planned ambush, you just play it anyway. No, but what Wyrmtalon's done really well here, he has held onto these events. And it gives you a lot more options. You're like, oh, okay, right, I have this Renewed Vigor. Right, I can play it now. I've got CG in my back pocket. If things go really wrong with this combat, you can play CG. Okay, some Heavenly Host might get used, which means it's not as strong. But doesn't matter. Throw down the Heavenly Host. Get that 4 guaranteed damage in. Very well done. Didn't use planned ambush on the new vampire, where maybe other players might have just gone a little bit, oh yeah, I need to play it. No. Kept the planned ambush. And that's really good, because now you've used it in this situation. Lucy's Revenge. Kept it, traded it, is now really important here. So yeah, really well played in that sense. Really, really good. It's something I want to talk about. I want to do a little quick video sort of helping out newer players. I did do one for the Hunters, but it's very, very long. I want to try and do a much shorter, maybe like... I was trying to do it in 15 minutes, but when I recorded a draft, it was like 30 minutes. But one of the things would be, you need to hold on to your events. These events are not throwaway. They are really, really critical stuff. And knowing the right time to play them is a very hard part of the game. But by watching other players play, this is fine, because they got great strength. So again, because of things, how a little bit of serendipity, how it all worked out earlier, but they've got great strength. So I think maybe the fact that's maybe why Mina punched, first round, and, I think having planned damage would have been a little bit better, but she could have dodged that 4 damage and then, could have then played punch the next turn, but it's fine. Great strength's been used. It was saved. That's what it's there for. That catches Dracula out by surprise. Maybe Dracula wasn't expecting it. That's another 4 damage, down to 2. This is looking really good. I can't remember what Sud played. If Sud played Rifle, then that's GG. If there's a punch... GG. Well played, Hunters. Yeah, very good. Very, very good. Yeah. I think until that last move where Dracula moved into the castle and obviously revealed his location to them when they're all surrounding him, apart from that, I think it was pretty balanced, to be honest. There are some things, obviously Dracula didn't do stuff with layers. I think Dracula could be a little bit more aggressive with Mina and Venice, but then you don't want a situation where he takes a really bad combat and then he'll be criticized the other way, right? So it's kind of like a lose-lose sometimes with that. I think, I think it'd be good to still experiment and look at, well, Mina only has 1 item, so how much of a threat is she really? If a trade comes in, it's like, oh, well, okay, it is what it is. Yeah, really good to get the 7 points. The Huns were a little bit disorientated a little bit at the beginning, but not like in a horrendous way, but just, there's some really awkward things with the items. Seward's movement was really poor, so they weren't able to respond to those early encounters. And, Dracula wasn't to know, right, that it'd be a mob mature only hitting 1 hunter. Bodyguard mature was pretty good. I think it could have been used on Mina to do a lot of effect early, and to burn that great strength early, so then it would have been available for this fight. Again, small thing. But the Hunters, they got the basics right in terms of supplying, not panicking, not rushing to use these big events. They held the sense of emergency. They held the charted carriage. The excellent weather was used to get Van Helsing onto the mainland more efficiently. That's great in case there was a trade that was necessary. If that was what Wyrmtalon was thinking, oh, I want to move Van Helsing, but he might have to trade at night. And I don't think actually at that moment there was anything to trade. There wasn't a heroic leap, but then Dracula wasn't to know that. Yeah, so got the basics right. And I think that's the thing. If you build that foundation, then you've always got, a good chance to still be relevant in the game. Wyrmtalon didn't burn all of these really powerful resources early, which then would make it really difficult later in the game to catch up. Played safe, secured, sure, there are things to improve on, but that's for everybody, It'd be the same with me. Even if I'm playing Hunters, I'll still go through recordings and go, could have done that differently, should have done that differently. That's always going to be the way. So, in general, really good performance from Wyrmtalon, and that really bodes well for the rest of the tournament. It's clearly, even though it hasn't been playing, at least in the community, that much since the World Championship, has clearly taken on things on board, and that's really cool to see. Topher, yeah, again, as I said, apart from maybe the layer strategy a little bit, and apart from the last couple of moves, didn't really do too much wrong. I would just say, from his perspective, if you see a lot of Hunters barreling towards you with fast horses, maybe just play a little bit more like, I can't keep moving 1 space at a time. There was an opportunity there. Go to Bucharest. The Hunters didn't punish you in Constanta. They didn't punish you in Bucharest. So Topher got really let off the hook there. So what Topher needs to do then is go, right, I'm getting to a port. I'm going to wolf form right now, get into a port city. I'm going to ignore the castle, because that's the problem with the castle. You basically declare it to everybody. I'm here. I'm in Castle Dracula. So he had to play, a little bit more nervous and go, right, I'm going to wolf form. I'm going to get into a port city. Valona will be really hard for them to get to, because you don't know where he's wolf forming to. The Hunters might pick the wrong port. They might not have had renewed vigor to play, or the horses might have been against them. Because then again, even if they did manage to jump onto him, then yeah, the fight could have still gone the same way as it did here. But what happens next? You kind of have to think about the next move. Yeah, he goes to Castle Dracula, got all the way up to 15 health. It didn't actually make any difference at all. They still managed to kill him from 15 health, and that is the power of multi-hunter combat. 1v1s are really hard for the hunters, especially if they have horses, because their combat strength is really, reduced. But if you get 2, better, 3 equipped hunters, they mostly had all their health at that point. They're fairly well equipped with aggressive cards, not with things like Garlic or Crucifix, which are sort of passive cards. You need to be the engaged hunter. If you've got active cards you can play, like a Heavenly Host or a knife or a rifle or a pistol, combining it with something like a planned ambush, then a 15 health Dracula can melt really quickly. So you, as a Dracula, you have to be a little bit scared of the hunters, especially once that point they've been supplying, they stabilized the game. If there's a whole trail of encounters to deal with in the east, when Dracula went to sea, and the hunters were getting really beaten up by fighting vampires or mobs or bodyguards or whatever it was on the trail, then you can maybe go, all right, okay, I can maybe take on a 2 or 3v1 fight here, and they've really revealed lots of information to me. They're weak, but the hunters weren't weak in that fight, and they just pummeled Dracula. With all the right combination of event cards and item cards. So yeah, I would say to Topher, the general things, pretty good. Really good to get 7 points, but there was definitely, things could have done better. And this game could have slipped away from Wyrmtalon, despite all of these events. Because then if suddenly Dracula wolf forms and they don't get him, then there's suddenly like, oh, Consecrated Ground could get wasted, a Renewed Vigor could get wasted. And then that's when there's trouble. I mean, I don't know, maybe I must have missed something, but I don't know why. If Dracula had just gone to the Adriatic coast instead of to the castle, which seemed like that's what the hunters assumed he would do, then the hunters would actually be in a really bad situation, because they would have used Renewed Vigor already. Consecrated Ground potentially wouldn't be as effective, depending on when they triggered it. So yeah, and if they'd use those two, then yeah, sure, they still have power left in them, but not as much. And then I think Dracula would have been able to sneak away at sea, and I think it's very possible it could have just run out the clock, despite Rufus Smith being there. Could have gone to sea quite a lot of turns, wait until the 4th week, land, move, and that's it. GG. So, we're looking at it as a hunter victory, but it could have easily been a Dracula victory the other way. And that's not taking anything away from Wyrmtalon, by the way. Wyrmtalon played well. But this game is one of these things, just like all these little things just add up. And when you're playing the game, it's really hard to realize, the consequences of the decisions that you make. But you can see it all builds up to create sort of the picture of the game. So yeah, hopefully that wasn't too technical. I hope that was fairly accessible. But if especially if you're a newer player, if you enjoyed it, please let me know in the comments below. It'd be really great to hear your feedback. Or you can message me privately on Discord if you don't want to do it publicly. That's absolutely fine. Conversely, if you're a newer player and you're watching this and there are concepts that you didn't really get, or maybe I didn't explain things very well, then tell me, because then I can, when I do, I've got at least 2 other recordings, they're not banked up, I've got 2 other recordings I've been given that I'll do post-game analysis of, so then you can tell me, and I can then try to improve my commentary based on that. So yeah, thanks for watching, folks. I hope you enjoyed it, and I shall see you in the next video very soon. I don't know when I'm going to be able to do it. I won't be able to do any live recordings until the weekend, probably, at the earliest. I don't know when I'm going to be able to do the analysis. I'll try and do my best to do it this week. It's all a bit hectic over here, but I'm really glad I was able to do this one. I really enjoyed the game. It was really, really cool to watch. So I'll see you in the next one very soon. Take care. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good week. And if you're competing in the tournament, all the best for your games until the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.